thing is right there that says number 2 on it?
That is a number placard. It is an evidence marker.
And now State's Exhibit 35. What is that?
The deceased's face.
State's Exhibit 36. What is that?
The deceased's right shoulder and chest.
State's Exhibit 37. What is that?
The deceased's left side.
And State's Exhibit 38. Now we see the left side as well as some additional numbers, those placards 3 and 4. What is the purpose of those 3 and 4?
They are additional evidence markers.
And State's Exhibit 39. Is that her left hand?
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 40. What is that?
It is another shot of her left hand.
And State's Exhibit 41. Is that now a photograph of her right hand, or right arm rather?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 42, right hand,
Yes, ma'am.
and 43 on the top of her right hand, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
44, what are we looking at?
We are standing in the living room looking at the front doors to the residence.
And State's Exhibit 45, what is that?
It is a photograph of a firearm on top of a box. Oh, sorry. It is a photograph of a firearm sitting on top of a box by the front door.
State's Exhibit 46.
It is a close-up photograph of that same firearm.
47.
Another angle of that firearm.
I'm going to go back just for a second. So 45, and then we zoom in a little bit closer, 46 and 47. Why is it important to take photographs of the various different parts of the gun?
We tried to document the state of the firearm when it was recovered. Was it loaded? Was it even capable of firing to the extent of our knowledge? That's the primary reason. And also for documentation so we can identify it later.
Okay. Are there unique identifiers on guns that can help us identify them later?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
A serial number.
And State's Exhibit 48, what's that?
That is a close-up photograph of an attachment at the front end of the firearm.
And 49, is that just the other side of the firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now in State's Exhibit 48, I can see that there appears to be an unfired cartridge right here. Was that found with the gun, to your knowledge?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. But photographs were taken of it that were at least close to, or looks like right on the gun.
Correct.
Okay. State's Exhibit 50, what are we looking at?
This is the front or south-facing door.
51, what is that?
The door frame of that same door.
Why is it important for crime scene officers to document the condition of doors and door frames for offenses?
It allows us to document whether there were obvious signs of forced entry.
Was there any obvious signs of forced entry?
No, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 52, now we can kind of see that white car a little bit more. Tell me what we're looking at here.
So this is the carport on the eastern side of the residence. We're looking towards the detached garage in the backyard.
This object that we see here, State's Exhibit 52, I'm going to circle kind of to the middle bottom. What is that?
It looks like lawn equipment, weed eater.
And does the lawn equipment or the weed eater, does it also have a cord that appears to be coming from it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now, looking here on State's Exhibit 53, where are we?
We are standing on the carport still looking at the second door, which would be on the eastern side of the residence.
54.
Inside of the living room looking at that same door.
Were there any obvious signs of damage or tampering to the side door from what you can tell?
No, ma'am.
Okay. 55. Where are we here?
Standing near the white car looking to the north towards the detached garage.
And 56, is that just another view of that darker car towards the house from the empty lot?
Yes, ma'am.
57, just another view of the car, that second darker car, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, 58, what are we looking at?
So we are looking at the area between the dark colored car and the edge of the house.
I want to go back just 1 second to ask you about, Are you able to see, and if you can't, that's all right, but we see that there's a weed eater of some sort. Can you tell what this item is behind the chair?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, that's okay. All right. So keeping on the right side of the house, now we go into State's Exhibit 59. What are we looking at here?
So we are standing at the front of the detached garage, looking to the west into the backyard through the gate.
And is the gate open?
Yes, ma'am.
And there appears to be an orange cone. Why is there an orange cone there?
Orange cones are sometimes used to mark evidence before a crime scene arrives so that it isn't overlooked or forgotten about before we can mark it.
And State's Exhibit 60, is this just now looking the other direction? Better picture of the bike just to the right of that darker colored car.
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 61, a view of the outside looking into the backyard with the gate open. Can you tell which way that gate opens? Does it open towards you or going the different direction?
It opens outward, so towards the camera in this photo.
62, where are we now?
So we are standing in the backyard looking at the northern side of that home.
I want to go back just a second. On 61, as the crime scene officer, I believe Valderas, you said, if he's standing right here outside of the gate is open at this point. Are you able to see on State's Exhibit 61, the very top of this window, if you were standing outside of the gate?
It appears so, ma'am.
And the gate's the same height all the way across, so even if that door is shut, this gate door is shut, you can still see the top of that window. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and State's Exhibit 63 and 62, a backyard picture facing those windows, and State's Exhibit 63, does that just appear to be with no light, no flash?
Yes, ma'am.
64. Now we see there's the cone, but there's also a number 5 placard. What's that for?
That's another evidence marker.
And 65, is that just a closer up view of that number 5 evidence marker?
Yes, ma'am.
What can you see in State's Exhibit 65? What is that item, number 5?
It is a fired cartridge casing.
State's Exhibit 66, is this just a closer up view of that window?
Yes, ma'am.
67, does that give us a better perspective as far as being dark outside, no flash being used?
Correct.
And 68, what is that?
An even closer view of the hole in the window.
And are we able to see in all these last few exhibits, 66, 67, and 68, that the blinds appear to be drawn at least halfway or so inside the bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now, permission to publish State's Exhibit 3, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, and State's Exhibit 3, now this light scan of the house. You have a stylus up there just like I do on the screen. Will you start taking us through the crime scene and give the jury a perspective of what it looked like?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so we can see there appears to be an object over in the bottom left. What is that?
That is what we call a mist pole. That is our known standard. So the measurement between those two targets is a calibrated standard, and that helps us calibrate our measurements on the machine.
Okay. And so take us around just the exterior and show the jury. So we have a lot of police cars. And now her house comes into view. All right. Now it's daylight outside at this point, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When you get out there. All right. So take us through the next point. Take us through inside the house. Okay, now we go inside. We're looking inside the living room. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
and take us over to the left a little bit. All right, we come into view. We can see there's, looks like a TV of some sort, kitchen. Okay. And we can see these little red dots that are in the background. What are those for? Red circles.
So each of those red circles represents the location where an individual scan was collected.
All right. Take us to the next area, if you will, or the next, yeah. Okay. Okay, so just a different perspective now, looking towards the doors. Taking us down the hallway here in just a second. And let me ask you, yeah, I'll let you, there you go. Going down the hallway of the house, does there appear to be some additional doors or rooms to our left a bit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, continue taking us down the hallway. And now looking into Tatiana's bedroom. Let's go into her bedroom. Okay. And now inside of her bedroom, there appears to be a TV over there to the right, and then there appears to be like a computer desk over there as well. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then there's two gray dots out on the window. What is that?
So those are called geotags. Those are inputs that we were able to put into the TrueView that are photographs from the crime scene.
All right. And then take us to those two that are on her body. Okay. And then take us to the next one. And what does that appear to be on placard number 2, sir?
An unfired cartridge.
All right. And so let's go out of her room. And go back into the living room. And let me ask you a question, if you will. Just scan us around into the living room for a second. Now, does that appear to be somewhat of a messy house? Fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you seen in your time with crime scene and as a patrol officer as well, so 8 years, have you been into houses that have been messy or dirty before?
Yes, ma'am.
Few or many occasions.
Many times.
All right. Have you been into houses that have been ransacked before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you in your experiences seen a difference between a messy house and a ransacked house?
That's hard to answer, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me why it's hard to answer.
I have been in houses that I have found out were ransacked that looks messy, and I've also been in houses where that's just how the house was.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to make any kind of conclusive statement on that.
Sure. All right, so take us now outside. And if you will, real quick, let's go back to the right just a little bit. So you can see now, it gives the jury a little bit more perspective. There's this big open lots, and then keep going over to the right just a little bit, and we can see, keep going just a little bit, we can start to see these houses. There's a couple different houses that are across the street. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so take us back, going back to the driveway. Okay, and let's go down the driveway into the backyard. And let me stop you real quick. So right there, this view looking at this white car, are we able to see this object that appears to be to the right of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
A lawnmower.
Okay. And so continue on to down the driveway into the backyard. Okay, and turn over a little bit to the left there. Okay. And so now we're able to see here that we've got this gate wide open here, but standing outside the backyard, you see the top of the window. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so take us in the backyard. Okay. Now go over in front of the window. There appears to be two objects on the ground, and then there's also a placard or that for evidence. What are those two objects? Can you tell?
I believe they are gloves.
Okay. And now click on the object that we see that's marked with a crime scene placard. Does that appear to be that fired casing that we've seen earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
And will you click on the 2 points that we see on the window? And that's that photograph we've seen earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just a different view a little further away of that window. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. So when you went out to the crime scene and you did all of these scans, what is the next thing that you did after you completed all the scans?
So once we are done collecting scan data at the scene, we transport all the equipment back to the office, and then I transfer from the device onto our desktop computer at the office all of the scan data that was collected and input that into a program called Cyclone.